Hi, welcome back to another adventure with Brian sans Heather Outdoors today. Today I actually have the day off. It's one of the first days I can say that I really had to myself in probably 6 or 8 months. So I'm gonna head over to Pictured Rocks, do a little hiking, check out some waterfalls, and just kind of see what happens. Not sure how long of a hike I'm gonna do. I really wanted to do an 11 or 12 mile loop, but we'll just see how that goes. Get some bakery for breakfast and head out. Deep fried carbs and sugar. This video doesn't do it justice, but there's a beautiful birch forest you get to drive through. There aren't too many of those. Well, I made it to the parking lot. The road coming in here was in significantly worse shape than I would have thought. It was fine. I mean, you don't need a Jeep or anything to get in here, but it was pretty rough, and there were some mud holes, and I was kind of surprised. But I'm pretty early. It's only like 8:30, and this parking lot is going to run out of spaces real quick here, so I guess I'm glad I got here early. Well, from the parking lot, I decided to go clockwise and hit Mosquito Falls first, and then continued on out to the Mosquito River mouth area, and then I went up the coast to Indian Head and Grand Portal Point along the cliffs of the Pictured Rocks, finishing at Chapel Beach, Chapel Rock, and then making my way back to the parking lot through the Chapel Falls hike. Before the trails got too crowded, I did see a little bit of wildlife. There was this female deer grazing near the trail, and then I saw a couple of birds that I have yet to be able to identify. Maybe one of you viewers can help me. The water levels were low this time of year and just this summer in general, so I decided to walk down the riverbed to get a better look at the upper falls. First time using this variable neutral density filter for waterfalls, and I got this really interesting kind of like cross polarization rainbow color effect on one of the stills I took. Well, I made it to the mouth of the Mosquito River, Mosquito Beach. You know, there's not a whole lot here, it's pretty rocky. Now I have to decide whether I'm heading all the way over to Chapel or if I'm heading back to the car. I'll see how I feel here in a few minutes. So along the hike of the cliffs there are many little lookout points. Don't get too close to the edge. There's a lot of places where it looks like it could just give way. The video makes it look like I'm getting closer to the edge than I really am. I was definitely afraid to get right up to the edge. There are portions of the trail that head inland from the cliffs, and it's really interesting for us because it's growing up to this thick layer of sand. So it's walking on a path of sand like a beach, but you're in the woods. Out of all the clips I took on this little adventure, this one gives the best kind of feeling of scale. These cliffs are just massive. I made it to Indian Head. I gotta look at the map, but this has got to be approximately halfway around, so you know, in is optional, out is mandatory kind of situation here. So, but beautiful view from up here. I really liked how this birch tree was framing Grand Portal Point in the background. This isn't the most photogenic section of the hike, but it's one of my favorites. There's a deep bay between the cliffs that you hike the perimeter of. Chapel Beach over there. Just on the east side of Chapel Beach is Chapel Rock. And it's got this really interesting pine tree growing on top of it with the roots kind of crossing a bridge in the sky. I just love walking through this, you know, medium-aged maple forest with limited undergrowth and just this beautiful canopy. Chapel Falls. You don't have a very good viewpoint of it. It's obstructed by trees. It's pretty tall, but it's hard to see. Well, made it back to the car and actually back home already. Chapel Falls is kind of underwhelming. There's not a lot of good like viewing platforms to really view the whole falls from, so I didn't take much for photo or video there. I couldn't believe how busy it was on the walk back. There were just streams of people, just group after group after group. And when I got back to the parking lot, it was full, obviously, but then as I was driving out, I couldn't believe how many vehicles there were. We're talking like a mile plus of just vehicle, you know, bumper to bumper, parked on the side of the road, all the way out the road. It was unbelievable. I'm amazed. Yeah, if you want to park in the parking lot, you got to get there really early. I got one of the last spots, and if I had seen what I saw this afternoon, I would have just turned around. So, anyway, that's just a pro tip: get there early. Got some interesting footage today, so we'll put it together and see what happens. See what the wife thinks of it. Thanks for coming along. Goodbye.